The impact of President Trump's 145% tariffs on Chinese goods is playing out in real time at American ports.
China will probably say, we'll approve a deal, but will you do something under tariff?
They were making from us $1 trillion a year. They were ripping us off like nobody's ever ripped us off.
As of April 2025, U.S. President Donald Trump slapped a big 245% tariff on Chinese goods. And it's an undeclared business war, which is affecting almost every industry, including the electric bikes too. That's why we will talk about the impact of this huge tariff, why this business war matters to all of us, and how it could change the future of e-biking worldwide. Well, a tariff is basically a tax added to goods that come into the country. In this case, the goods are from China. And right now, the US and China are in a pretty heated trade war, throwing tariffs back and forth like dodgeballs. The US just raised tariffs on certain Chinese imports to 245%, which includes a mix of old and new charges. There's a 125% reciprocal tariff, a 20% hike tied to fentanyl trafficking enforcement, and the old Section 301 tariffs that have been lingering since the Trump and Biden years. All of this stacks up into one very painful bill for anything made in or shipped from China. And right now, about 90% of the e-bikes sold in the US are made in China. So when the government suddenly hits them with a massive import tax, it directly affects almost every rider here. If a bike costs around $500 to produce in China, a 145% tariff means the US adds another $725 in taxes just to bring it in. That bumps the base cost up to $1,250, and that's before you even think about shipping, store margins, or anything else. And with a 245% tariff, it's going to be even worse. What that means for everyday riders is simple. We could be looking at price hikes of 10 to 50%, or maybe even more. A decent mid-range e-bike that usually goes for $2,000 might suddenly cost anywhere from $2,200 to $3,000. And the affordable ones, the ones that a lot of first-time riders, students, and commuters rely on, might take the biggest hit. Some enthusiasts are already sounding the alarm. They're saying that a $4,000 bike could easily jump to $8,000 or $9,000. That's the kind of price jump that makes people stop and question the whole idea of getting one. As someone who's saved up for a nice e-bike before, this honestly feels frustrating. Something that's a lot more accessible than buying a car or dealing with public transport every day. But now, with these costs going up so quickly, it's starting to feel like only the wealthy will be able to afford them. The elderly people who use a basic e-bike for their daily commute, the students, and the delivery guys who just can't afford a car will face some serious budget issues while purchasing a new bike. The impact will be in every corner of the room. However, the tariff war isn't a new thing. It actually started back in 2018 when the Trump administration added a 25% tariff on e-bikes coming from China. Even after that, when Biden took over, those tariffs stayed in place. For a while, some temporary breaks helped keep prices from going up too much. But those breaks ended in June 2024, and since then, things have gotten more intense. Now with Trump back in office, the tariffs have gone way up. We're talking numbers we haven't seen before, up to 245% in some cases. That alone is a big deal for anyone buying or selling e-bikes. And just to make things even tougher, from May 2nd, 2025, a new rule will be applied to the $800 de minimis exemption. The previous rule used to allow small shipments from China, like those you might buy online, to enter the US without paying import taxes. But now, if you order a bike or parts from a site like Temu or similar platforms, that sweet tax-free deal is gone. From May month, shipments from China under $800 will now face a duty of 90% of their value. And in reply, China is also responding with its own tariffs, which makes it harder for US companies to work with Chinese suppliers. So overall, it's turned into a trade war, and e-bikes are one of the products caught right in the middle of it. So it's easy to feel frustrated with everything going on, but it's not all bad news. One of the biggest strategies is moving production out of China. Some brands, like Electrek e-bikes, have already started shifting their manufacturing to countries like Vietnam or Cambodia. Others, like Tariff and Trek, have been working with factories in Taiwan for a while now. This helps avoid the harshest tariffs, but it's not a perfect solution. These countries aren't always cheaper, and in some cases, like Vietnam in April 2025, they've faced even higher tariffs than China, at least temporarily. Plus, building new factories, training workers, and getting everything running smoothly isn't something you can do overnight. It's a long-term fix that takes serious investment. At the same time, industry groups are trying to push for better policies. One example is People for Bikes, an organization that's been actively lobbying for tariff relief. They're pushing for things like tariff exemptions and programs like the Generalized System of Preferences, which would make it easier to import bikes from countries other than China without getting slammed by taxes. Since 2018, these efforts have already saved the industry around $130 million. That's huge, and hopefully, they can pull off more wins like that to help soften the blow for brands and buyers alike. There are also some smart workarounds happening on the retail side. Take Upway, for example. They specialize in used or overstock e-bikes that are already in the US, which means they can avoid those heavy import tariffs entirely. So if you're open to buying a gently used or discounted bike instead of something brand new, this might be a great option to explore. And if you're a rider wondering what you can do personally, here's a bit of advice. If you've been planning to buy an e-bike soon, now might be a smart time to go for it, especially if you can get your hands on stock that came in before the new tariffs hit. Once those bikes are gone, prices could jump quickly. Also, don't rule out used options. And of course, stay in the loop. We know this whole tariff war really hitting hard. E-bikes have changed the game for so many of us, whether we ride to work, stay active, or just enjoy the ride. The thought of them becoming something only a few can afford makes us worry about who might be left out. So what about you? Thinking of grabbing an e-bike before prices go up? If you have any say on the US-China tariff war and its impact on the e-bike industry, let us know in the comment section. Like the video if you found it relatable and subscribe to get more of this type of discussion on your feed.